Yeah, we can begin. Yeah, we can begin, Geeta.
We can? Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to yet another session on Talking Films Online. Today, we will be discussing the Assamese film Ravening. I am delighted to welcome Dr. Pranjal Borah, who is Associate Professor, Department of English at the Cormuk College, Shivsagar. He's also serving as visiting faculty teaching film studies at the PG classes in Center for Journalism and Mass Communication, Dibrugarh University. Also a guest faculty at North Lakhimpur College, Department of Assamese, as well as JB College, Department of Film Studies. Welcome, Pranjal. We look forward to the discussion. You may go ahead, Pranjal.
I'll resort to screen presentation, ma'am.
Okay.
I have enabled screen sharing. You can go ahead.
It's okay. I just hope there is. Good evening, everybody. I am all set to resort to a small PPP. You must have noticed a slide depicting the title of my presentation. Again, I request you not to get messed up with this nomenclature. This nomenclature is mere sort of a substrate I am going to depend on to drive home to you the kind of idea that I am all set to share with you. Homo sentimentalist, if neri were zumi, unwinding, ravening neurocinematically. The so-called high-sounding words should not confuse you. Everything will be pretty clear to you. I'll try to unveil before you everything in a crystal clear, lucid way. Please have patience for a while. Before proceeding further, sort of disclaimers, when it comes to a film like Ravening, which is supposed to be a hardcore layered film, it is quite natural that a multitude of interpretation would crop up. Many of you have already savored this film. I don't know whether I am using a proper word, savor. Many of you have rather seen this film. Most of you must have found this film a little bit bizarre, uncanny, or rather should I say challenging discourse. It challenges so many things about ourselves, about the way we look at things, about the way we look at love, about the way we approach interpersonal relationships. Whatever way we approach this film is something which is definitely, acceptable at a personal level. You have your own taste and ideals. You have your own cognitive biases, heuristics, noises, and it is quite natural that when you try to approach a film like this, a layered film, all those particular cognitive biases, heuristics, noises, priming effects, subliminal orientations will come in handy, will impinge on you. given the fact that that kind of a multiplicity of interpretation in a hermeneutic sphere is more than tangible, I'm all set to share with you my ideas, or rather my mode of interpretation about this particular film, Ravening. See, as I have already told you, I am just one of the film buffs trying to figure out this amazingly made film. This, should I say, sort of a cinematic masterpiece. You may not agree with me, but again, from my own perspective, I have not an iota of doubt, hesitation to declare that Aamis or Ravening is truly a cinematic masterpiece from every conceivable perspective. This is what I feel about it. But why I feel about it is something that I'm not going to tell you in detail. Rather, I would look at this particular film from a particular perspective, a perspective that I have chosen for, looking at this particular film today, at least this evening. I concede there could be other modes of interpretation. You might have found this film, you might have looked at this film from totally different, diametrically opposite perspectives. And I am humble enough to accept all your modes of interpretation, all your hermeneutic tools that you adopt to interpret a film like Ravening. And secondly, although this presentation is going to be especially from an epistemological point of view, it is basically a film buff and a small-time film critic who will dominate the entire proceeding. I mean, I basically view myself as a small-time film critic as well as an avid film buff. So a combination of these two identities will definitely do the trick. So please bear with me if I fail to get rid of my cognitive biases, my own heuristics, and my own noises. I have been using these three words again and again, again putting you into a, should I say, a cauldron of dilemma. But those dilemmas will be cracked. Again, I request you to have patience for a while. Now, before proceeding further, I would love to, I just hope I am perfectly audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
So I'm going to play my first clip. I'm playing this clip with a very specific purpose, and it is supposed to put certain impact on your mind. It is supposed to stir something. What it is supposed to stir, I'm not going to tell you. You find it out on your own, and you will understand why I'll be playing the words, playing the clips in the sequence I'm going to do. You will get an opportunity to figure out, or maybe that the way I will play my clips might confuse you at times, might muddle you at times. But when I am playing my clips, I am playing my clips with certain specific purposes. There is something behind that. So here is my first clip. Is the audio going through?
Thank you, Ray. খাই বৰ ভাল লাগিল, বিশেষকৈ মাংসখিনি। এনেকুৱা সোৱাদ আগতে কোনো মাংসতে পোৱা নাই। কি মাংস দিছিলা বাৰু?
আপুনি ভাল পোৱা বুলি জানি মনটো বৰ ভাল লাগিছে। কষ্ট কৰি ৰান্ধিছিলোঁ যে। কিন্তু মাংসটো কি আছিলে সেইটো লগ পালে কম দিয়ক।
যিয়েই নহওক, মোক কিন্তু আৰু লাগিব দেই। এতিয়া কোৱা
এই হাঁহ কণী ৰান্ধিছিলোঁ
সেইটো গম পাইছো আৰু
আৰু নহৰু পিঁয়াজ গাজৰ জলকীয়া নিমখ
আৰু
অকণমান নিজৰে মাংস মই এইখিনিৰ পৰা অলপমান মাংস কাটি ৰান্ধিছিলোঁ
কিমান মাংস
I just hope the audio went through quite well.
Yes, it did.
Okay. So, not going into details about anything, I'm not going to explain anything. The clip has had its impact on you. It has disturbed you the way it disturbed when you watched that particular movie. It just reminded you of the kind of horror, the trauma, the terror, the uncanniness. With this sensation of uncanniness creeping into you, let me move on to my next slide. What kind of a film is Ravening? What kind of a film? Let's have a look. As I have already told you, and you yourselves must have discovered, Ravening happens to be a well-acclaimed, much talked about, much rapped about film. And as such, it has grabbed a lot of accolades and from both critics and connoisseurs. And in fact, some of the highly canonized, internationally canonized film critics and film scholars have given vent to their views on this particular film. And having said that, if we try to understand, if we try to categorize this film as into some sort of a genre, it is rather a very, should I say, very blurry, very confusing picture that crops up. But yet, it is often said that it is a haunting, bizarre tale of amour fou, wrecked by socioculturally forbidden cougar consummation, social repressions, and personal flow of inability for hedonic adaptation in the face of sociocultural repressions. I just hope I'm not supposed to explain anything. These ideas are self-revelatory. An uncanny food romance, a wired psychothriller with genre hybrid potential. An avant-garde art house cinematic masterpiece crafted as a powerful and insightful allegory on socio-cultural repressions and its impact on individuals. A slow-burning horror film with the usual trappings of the genre, but absolutely unpredictable with somewhat out-of-the-box denouement. So these are some of the ideas, there are some of the epithets that are constantly applied to explain the nature of this particular film. Or should we move on to the last part of this slide? All and more in a single stroke. So the idea is to give you my attempt is to give you an idea of the gender fluidity, gender hybridity, genre fluidity of this particular film. It's a film which defies any kind of categorization. It's a film which at all we have to give it a genre to, is something which fits into the cauldron of a genre hybrid film. But what it is, let's explore. Before proceeding further, before taking a plunge into the narrative of this particular film and how I am going to interpret this film from my own perspective, let me take you to a different world, a world in which you'll understand, you'll discover something totally different about yourselves, or rather about how you interpret things, how you look at things, how you make sense of the world around you, how you make sense of the stimuli that you confront in your day-to-day life, in your personal life, in your private life, and the mysteries behind that. Moving on to my next slide. Yeah. See, when we try to interact with a movie, when we watch a movie, when we try to release a movie, what exactly do we do? So these are precisely the things that we get involved in, that we indulge in. Generally, 4 threads of experience. It is a combination of, it is a blending of 4 threads of experience when we watch a film, when we try to figure out a film, when we try to interact with a film. Precisely speaking, sensual, emotional, compositional, and spatio-temporal. You know, when we watch a film, these 4 threads of experiences blend together and work as some sort of a holistic system. They operate as one during the dialogue of a viewer with a film. So this is not my own finding. Rather, I have fallen back on a very pretty recent epoch-making kind of research on this aspect of film viewing. This research was carried out by McCartney and Wright, and of course their team in 2004. Then the spectator uses perceptual and conceptual systems developed for interacting with a 3-dimensional world to interact with and make sense of a 2-dimensional world. Here is a reference to another very significant study, aiming at exploring more about how we watch films, and rather how we watch films and how films impact us. That it was again a study carried by 2 seminal socio-psychologists, Curie and Anderson. Again, a pretty recent study. If my memory is still in good nick, this study was conducted in the early part of this millennium. So what all this signify? See, when we watch a film, we know that we are watching a film. What is transpiring in front of us, what is appearing, what is cropping up in front of us is something fictional, something not part of our real life experiences, something which is simulated, which is virtual only. But yet, when we try to interpret it, when we try to come to terms with it, when we try to reconcile ourselves to whatever we see in front of us, we use a particular system which is developed out of our real life perceptual and conceptual systems. So even though we watch a film, we watch it as if we are witnessing something real. And this particular process takes place without our knowledge, because there is no other way out to come to terms with that particular narrative which is unfolding before us. So what do? We try to put into service the same perceptual and conceptual systems developed for interacting with a 3-dimensional world to interact with and make sense of a 2-dimensional world. This is how we watch films. You will gradually understand what I am trying to hint at. Now, moving on to neurocinematics. Precisely speaking, to put it lucidly, neurocinematics talks about an emerging research discipline that studies audiences' cognitive and affective responses to cinematic stimuli. I have put something within, brackets. Can mimicking be tantamount to memory and experience? The role of mirror neurons, oxytocin, and other neurochemicals. See, when we watch a particular movie, we're shocked. I mean, when we try to watch Aamis, when we try to come to terms with whatever we see, when we try to come to terms with ravening, again and again we encounter stimuli and responses which shock us, which confuse us, which baffle us, which bewilder us. We feel like a fish out of water, but why? Is that particular mimicking experience a perpetual one, a permanent one, or we experience it when we watch that particular film, and the moment we get out of the theater, the moment we drop from the screen, that feeling doesn't linger. It simply vanishes or evaporates. So this is a very complex neurochemical process, neuroscientific process, which involves a very complex, limbic system response mechanism, as well as certain neurochemicals, the oxytocin, endorphin, and serotonin are a few to name. Now, in the process, what we experience is called a combination of empathy index and reactivity index. And again, I'm not going to details about that. It will unnecessarily confuse and unnecessarily distract us. I'm trying to put in perspective what I am going to do with you actually, so that you can come to terms with, you can get the neck of what I am going to do with you, what I'm going to share with you. Then, although there is a biological empathetic component, storytelling, audiovisual stimuli possess the power to affect the level of empathy we feel and stir the reactions we generate. So, what exactly happens? See, we are going somewhere, then suddenly we witness a horrible, deadly road accident. We see a dead body or the fragments of a dead body, badly mutilated, horribly mutilated, scattered everywhere. How do we feel? We get scared. We get scared. Even though it's not an accident we have made, we get scared. We try to shy away. We feel the hit. Okay, why? Because it's not our experience. Because this is how our brain operates. This is how certain systems, certain mechanisms in our brain operate. And this is a process which is spontaneous, which takes place spontaneously. It's always on an autopilot mode, whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not, we are sure to experience those particular stimuli. We are sure to experience those particular emotional responses, and herein lies the significance of empathy. Empathy and compassion are things which are generated in us almost spontaneously, and certain experiences, certain visual stimuli, certain audiovisual stimuli always generate the same kind of empathy or same kind of compassion in us, and there were certain seminal studies conducted by the likes of Dr. Vittorio Gilles, Yuri Hasson, Grabowski. Especially Yuri Hasson was the person who coined the term neurocinematics. And neurocinematics studies or tries to explore, tries to critique how cinema impinges on our minds and vice versa. Now again, we have always been told seeing is believing. But in neuroscience, in modern psychology, or in neurocinematics, perceiving is believing. This process of perceiving is preceded by another phenomenon titled sensation. Now, what is sensation? Sensation, physical energy detection by our sensory organs via a process of transduction into electrochemical energy the brain understands. To be very precise, raw information sensory stimulus that is mostly unbiased. See, when we first see something, when we first encounter some audiovisual stimuli, we are not really biased about it because we are yet to figure out what exactly it implies. Now, what is perception? Perception, our brain's interpretation of that raw sensory interpretation. The real drama begins only when we perceive something about that. And this perception is a kind of process which takes place in our brain. Or rather, you may say perception is nothing but our brain's way of interpretation of raw sensory information, right? So long as something is in the form of a sensation or sensory input, it has no meaning for us. It is we who invest meaning, and we invest meaning through a system of perception forming. This is how our brain operates. This is how our brain functions. Perceptions are mostly functional and adequate, but often far from accurate. It is interesting to note the perceptions that we form out of those audiovisual stimuli, be it in the form of cinema, be it in the form of films, be it in the form of anything, any personal experiences, day-to-day experiences, whatever comes our way in the form of audiovisual stimuli or sensation, whatever it is, we try to perceive. Our brain tries to interpret. Our brain tries to, grant it as some kind of meaning, But interestingly enough, the way our brain functions and tries to figure out those particular visual or audiovisual stimuli is often not accurate. Why? Let's try to understand. Because everything from our senses is filtered through our unique system of past experiences in the world, both inward and outward. This is the reason. Because how do we perceive? We perceive through our own experiences. We perceive through the memory references that are stored in our amygdala, in our hippocampus, in our limbic system, involving certain specific organs or areas within the brain. Amygdala, to be precise, hippocampus, to be still more precise, limbic system at a macro level. So it is a pretty complex process. And through this complex process, falling back on our past experiences and how we interpret those past experiences, we try to interpret a new audiovisual stimuli or whatever strange we encounter in our day-to-day life, in our personal life, in our private life. So this is how perceptions work. This is how perceptions are formed. This is how our brain tries to make sense of the things that it encounters in its journey. In fact, this particular nature of brain is called the predictive brain, and many empirical experiments on the predictive brain support this, the theory of predictive processing. This is called the theory of predictive processing. Again, a very recent development in the field of neuroscience, which is so relevant to the hermeneutic aspects of films, to the hermeneutic interpretation of films. So I'm using it. I'm trying to make sense of that my way. Is it getting too heady, ma'am? Hello? Am I still audible to you?
Yes, very much so. Go ahead.
Okay. So, in a nutshell, brains have to make inferences about the possible causes of the signals we receive via our senses and reinforce our ability to perceive different things given the same sensory information. Given that the sensory input is not changing, what we perceive must be based on the brain's prediction of what is there and must be based on prior knowledge. This is exactly what I have just explained. So brains have to make inferences about everything that comes our way in the form of audiovisual stimuli, in the form of experiences or whatever. And how does that brain accomplish? How does that brain function? How does that brain, figure out that? It relies on whatever is there in our memory system, whatever is there in our memory system as prior knowledge or other interpretations of those prior knowledge. So what I'm trying to make you understand, what I'm trying to impress upon you is the way our brain functions and how the way our brain functions actually impinges on the way we interpret things like films. We find this particular movie bizarre, we find this particular movie uncanny, we find it horrible, even nauseating. Why? What makes us think like that? What makes us fall back on such perceptions? So what does our brain do? It is constantly predicting the causes of incoming information, whether from the world outside or from within the body. These predictions lead to perceptions, which remain unconscious or enter conscious awareness. Again, here's a reference to a very significant epoch-making study, recent study. It was spearheaded by Carl Frisson. It is as recent as 2018. Sorry, I am using pretty recent information, recent resources. Please bear with me if I have somehow confused you. But again, let me repeat, predictive processing can go wrong. Paul Plesser, Juliet Graffin, very recent study, 2019. And our brains might trick us into perceptual fallacy or inadequacy. It is very significant. So whatever way our brain perceives whatever way our brain figures out the audiovisual stimuli or any other experiences on the basis of falling back on our prior knowledge, prior experiences or memory contents, it is not supposed to be accurate. We can never claim that it is accurate. It's based on some sort of realistic paradigms. We often go wrong. We often make perceptual fallacy or inadequacy. Would you allow me to use a different kind of a clip?
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, let me move a little bit further. Perceptual illusion, inadequacy. I'm using a particular clip called Schaeffer's tabletop experiment. Let me see whether that clip is still available with me. Anyway, there is some problem with the maneuverability of my screen, so I have not been able to detect where it is. Once I did, I could do that. I could show that particular clip. Anyway, naive realism, another very significant concept, which is pretty relevant to what we are doing. Naive realism is a particular kind of concept which was originally developed by one Harvard University professor called Lee Rose in 1990s. Of course, a team was behind all that. What does it imply? The deficient understanding of how we perceive the world, and it is perhaps the most reliable theoretical foundation of major cognitive biases. Gradually, we are moving to the crux. So, given the kind of discussion we have already made, given the kind of ideas that I have already shared with you, you must have already come to appreciate one thing, that the way we look at life, the way we interpret the world, the way we try to come to terms with the stimuli, visual stimuli or the experiences through a complex process of perception forming can never be accurate. So it is always deficient. So by adopting or by taking to that kind of a hermeneutic model or hermeneutic mechanism, we can interpret the world. We can interpret whatever we experience only partially, or there must be deficiencies in our mode of interpretation. There must be deficiencies in our mode of hermeneutics. I think it is clear to you. There is no doubt about it. So if that is to be taken as a constant, that is to be taught as a constant, then it leads to another kind of inference. called naive realism. Naive realism implies nothing but our deficient understanding of how we perceive the world. Why? Let's move on to the next page. Cognitive biases, heuristics. Again, heuristics researches were conducted by Tversky and Kahneman. Kahneman, you must have heard about him. He is an economist by profession, but the world today knows him basically as a top-ranked psychologist. It was he who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2002, not for any economic discovery or economic, should I say, breakthroughs that he proposed. It was because of his epoch-making ideas about behavioral economics. He tried to make sense of the role of mind, role of psyche in economic considerations. And he is regarded as some sort of a living legend now. He conducted a seminal study on the way our mind or our psyche uses shortcuts to interpret things. Heuristics are nothing but certain kind of shortcuts our mind uses to interpret things or make sense of things, right? And noises, of course, noises is a pretty recent concept. In fact, the basic tenets about the noises have been postulated only this year. I mean, after a particular book by Daniel Kahneman hit the stands 2 months back. Noises a flaw in human judgment. If my memory is still in good nick, that's the name of that particular book, which tries to critique the nature and the significance of noises in our judgments or in the way we make judgments. So cognitive biases, heuristics, and noises are a very significant, powerful combination of factors which profoundly impinge on the way we interpret things, be it a film, be it anything else. Okay? In a nutshell, or to be very precise, naive realism practically influences our perception of everything. I mean, naive realism, again, let me remind you, it talks about our deficient understanding of the way we perceive the world around us and whatever we experience in the world. Again, be it a film or be it any kind of experience that we encounter in our life. The next idea, can things we are unaware of influence us? Again, this is a $1 million question. What do you think? The things which are strange to us, uncanny to us, we have never experienced it before, we have never seen it before. Can such things influence us? Can such things influence us powerfully enough to tamper with our judgment, to tamper with our sagacity? Let's explore. Priming. Priming is another significant concept which is pretty relevant to whatever we are trying to do, whatever we are trying to figure out. Priming is nothing but a tendency for a recently presented stimulus to facilitate subsequent judgment or behavior. Again, I am not going into details about the rest of the discussion that I am trying to put in so far as priming is concerned. So priming is a kind of psychological phenomenon, or rather you may say an intrinsic kind of propensity that we all are endowed with, for which we have a tendency to interpret things on the basis of our recent experiences, recent stimuli. See, whatever decision we take, whatever judgment we make, they are always profoundly influenced by our recent experiences and recent piece of knowledge, recent pieces of information, recent pieces of should I say experiences that we have. So we are primed like that. We are attuned like that. This is some sort of an intrinsic ability we are endowed with, and we use it rightly or wrongly. We have. We can never get rid of this. We can never get any kind of respite from the priming effect, which clings to us when it comes to making judgments. Okay, so there are different kinds of priming effects. I am again not going into details about that. This will unnecessarily make my presentation lengthy, as well as it might muddle you a lot. So My esteemed friends and colleagues, what I tried to impress upon you was pretty simple. I wanted to draw your attention to the way, to the mysterious, enigmatic, somewhat complex ways that our brains use to make sense of things that we experience, to figure out and interpret audiovisual stimuli that we confront, be it a film, be it a picture, be it a text, be it a full-blooded experience. Okay, so with this perspective in mind, as we try to take a plunge into revening, we'll try to make sense of this film. Or rather, should I say, I will be using some aspects of this kind of an orientation to come up with my own interpretation of this particular film. That's going to be a neurocinematic interpretation of Ravening. Well, as I have already told you, and you have already discovered, here is a film subjected, could be readily subjected to multiple interpretations. It's a food movie, a psycho thriller. It's a very powerful tale of amour fou. It's a genre hybrid movie. It's a powerful critique on the nature of cultural regression, socio-cultural regression, and its impact on individual lives and desires. But whatever it is, I have my own take on this, and this is exactly what I'm going to share with you on the basis of my leaning towards neurocinematic hermeneutics. So at every level of watching this particular movie, you must have noticed one thing about it. There are tinges of forbidden passion, both romantic and corporeal, cultured inhibitions, socio-cultural repression, obsession and addiction feel virtually every frame in Ravening. Yes, tinges of forbidden passion, both romantic and corporeal, cultural inhibition, socio-cultural repression, obsession and addiction feel virtually every frame in Ravening. Absolutely no doubt about it. Apparently, a forbidden cougar love story between a woman, 40 plus Dr. Nirmali, and a man, 27 years old Sumon, a PhD student, segregated by distinct class disparity, a provincial conservative native culture, and a huge age gap. But before proceeding further, let me cut across our tedium and move on to one more clip.
Born. তই চাগে টোপনি গলি শুই থাক মোৰ আইজনী শুই থাক ৰাতিটো পাৰ হ'ব তই ৰাজৰাণী হবি শুই থাক মোৰ আইজনী
See, I transported you to a different plan. We were all set to approach ravening. We were all set to interpret it. You must have been curious to know how I would approach this particular film. What could be my interpretative orientation, my hermeneutic approach. But suddenly you were disturbed. I took you to a different plan where you encountered a clip from a totally different film. It was a clip from Bhaskar Hazarika's first film, The River of Fable. I deliberately played this clip just to give you an idea of how our brains function, how we use our cognitive biases, heuristics, and noises to make sense of things. The moment you got disturbed, you felt disturbed, you got diverted, something within your brain, something within the system of your hermeneutics changed, responded, reacted. The result was the way you interpreted the clip. Result was the way you took that particular clip in your stride. So this is how we keep interpreting things. This is how we keep making sense of whatever we experience, whatever we witness. Okay. So with these few words, let me move straight to how I look at this particular film. See, despite the fact that a multitude of interpretation about this film is more than a reality, I would focus solely on a particular mode of interpretation. My heuristics, my cognitive biases, and my noises, probably without my knowledge, provoke me to look at this film from a very particular specific perspective. To me, this film is a critique on the way our cultural conditioning impacts us, our socio-cultural conditioning, creates some sort of a particular psyche in us, and its impact on how we function life, how we live our life, how we come to terms with the realities of our life, how we come to terms with the desires and the ambitions that pop up in us, so it is a critique on the nature of socio-cultural conditioning and its far-reaching and, should I say, very powerful impact on us. Yes, I know it is a love story. I know it is a psycho thriller. I know it is an uncanny horror story. I know this film is a many things in a single breath. But to me, this is a film about socio-cultural conditioning and its uncannily regressive impact on us. Or to move a step further, I would say, what happens to us if we fail to come to terms with us? What happens to us if we fail to manage its regressive impact? If we fail to, should I say, adapt to this to benefit ourselves? How we can, cope with this productively? And what happens to us if we fail to cope with this to benefit us ourselves? If we fail to manage it productively? See, Nirmali is the female protagonist we bump into in Revenue. Who is Nirmali? And what is her predicament at this juncture? When you first meet her, when you first bump into her, Nirmali is trapped in a tedious, boring, lackluster, circular, routine married life. Okay? But then, when we are introduced to Nirmali, only 10 minutes into the narrative, we bump into another interesting character, Jumi. We tend to ignore Jumi's presence. We appreciate her presence. We see her as a foil to Nirmali on many fronts. but we fail to understand her, or rather we tend to ignore, we tend to neglect her essence in the larger scheme of things of this particular film. But I propose that Jumi is a character which is not just a foil to Nirmali, but forms a very significant subplot, a very revelatory subplot to this complex drama that unfolds before us. And Jumi fits into my scheme of things, my mode of interpretation, my hermeneutic approach. How? Let me explain. See, Jumi also is trapped in the same tedious, boring, lackluster, circular routine married life. If Nirmali is having a boring, lackluster, dull, monotonous life, so is Jumi. It's more than evident. Let's see. Let's play another clip.
ডাক্তৰজনী বৰ ভাল লাগে
আজিকালি যে ল'ৰাবোৰ কৈছো নহয় একদম ফিটনেছ নাই যোৱা এলেহুৱা ডিচিপ্লিন নাই পিছে এদি এনেকুৱা নহয় এদি খুব ফিট এদিন প্ৰতিটো ৰাইট চেকআপ টাইট ৰাইট চেকআপ হ'ব দে ধৰা নপৰালৈকে কোনে জনাব তই ঐ ৰ মই চিকেন অলপ লৈ লওঁ আচলতে গুৱাহাটীত ৰাতিহে গাড়ী চলাবলৈ ভাল লাগে নহয়নে ঐ তোৰ মনত আছেনে এবাৰ যে আমি মালিগাঁৱৰ পৰা নুনমাটি মাত্ৰ 15 মিনিটত গৈ পাইছিলো দিলীপৰ নিচিনা ফাষ্ট গাড়ী কোনেও নচলাই দেই পাই ৰাকেশে যে কি বাচ্চা নিচিনা চিঞৰিছিল দিলীপ লাহে লাহে দিলীপ লাহে অ লাহে আমি গোটেইকেইটাই লগ নোপোৱা ইমান দিনটো গ'ল অ পাই নেক্সট টাইম দেই যেতিয়াই দিলীপা অ দিলীপটা ক'ত এতিয়া আহিব ভগৱান জানে ফিল্ডত থাকিলে আকৌ তাৰ মোবাইলটো নচলে নহয় ওলাবহি এদিন খবৰ চবৰ নিদিয়ে আকৌ বাই ঘৰ গৈ পালে মেছেজ এটা কৰি দিম ঐ শুনচোন কাইলৈ তই মোৰ লগত নাটক চাবলৈ গৈ আছো হা 4টা বজাত নাটক অ কোনোবাই যদি সুধে অ বা পিছে তুমি মই কিন্তু এইবোৰ ভাল দেখাম ডোন্ট ৱাৰি সব কণ্ট্ৰলত আছে তই খালি তোৰ ৰোলটো প্লে কৰি থাকিবি বা
Well, Nirmali and Jumi are bosom friends. They confide in each other. Their mutual faith, understanding are unflinching, absolutely unflinching. But Nirmali is not Jumi, Jumi is not Nirmali. Sumon is naturally smitten with the charming older Nirmali, Nirmali feels the same spark, but she represses these feelings. But Zumi is going gaga with her young partner, Eddie. This is where Zumi differs from Nirmali. Zumi never represses her feelings. Zumi is never bogged down by the cultural repressions, the moral obligations. She lives her life her way. She has the guts. She has the management skills to come to terms with the realities of her life. She knows how to make the most of her life. She knows how to cope with the socio-cultural regressions. She knows how to handle that. But Nirmali, see, when we first bump into Nirmali and Sumon, our predictive brain starts making certain predictions. You know, we start anticipating certain things. And initially, things go about the way we anticipate. Okay? Everything seems to lapse into the same unconventional forbidden love story that we are accustomed to watching on screen many times. But look at Zumi. Zumi is not just a cameo of a role, cameo of a character. She doesn't play a cameo. She occupies considerable screen time and screen space. She is there all the way. Okay? She can seamlessly do what Nirmali can never do. Again, I'm not going into details about anything because you all have seen the movie. You can relate to everything. Now, when it comes to Sumon's fascination for Nirmali, Sumon's fascination for Nirmali is more than understandable. It's more than tangible. And Sumon is necessarily smitten with the charming older Nirmali. And we understand that Nirmali also feels the same way, same spark, but she represses these feelings. And it is because of the way Nirmali represses her feelings that the horrible tragedy eventually unfolds before us. We should appreciate that. And it has something to do with Nirmali's inability to come to terms with the socio-cultural regressions the way Zumi can. Okay? So while Nirmali can never come to terms with her relationship, her feelings for Sumon, she evades it. She resorts to all sorts of uncanny, bizarre activities like her fascination for meat, her ravenous fascination for meat. Zumi is going gaga with her younger partner, Eddie. Now, let's have a look at three important male characters who appear in this particular narrative. Of course, first two are Sumon and Dilip. Dilip is none but Nirmali's husband. What kind of a man is he? He's a self-indulgent, arrogant, self-absorbed kind of a person. He lives his own life without bothering about the boring and monotonous life of his wife. He is what he is. And how is Rakesh? We don't really get an opportunity to interact too much with Rakesh, but we get a few opportunities, few occasions on which we can have a close look at Rakesh. Rakesh is also very much indifferent to his wife. Maybe they are at the height of midlife crisis. I don't know how you interpret it, how you look at it, how you term it. But there is no denying the fact that Rakesh also doesn't really share a very cordial bond or intimate bond with his wife Zumi. Okay, even though they are getting along with each other quite well, there can be no denying that it's more than evident from the narrative, from whatever we see in front of us, that they don't really share a very cordial. They no longer share a very cordial bond. Okay, so same predicaments for two similar kinds of women, but they have different approaches, they have different adaptive mechanisms, and their adaptive mechanisms have a lot to do with the kind of fate they encounter, the kind of destiny they confront. And this is exactly what this film unfolds before us, makes us understand, or this is how this film somehow makes us introspect our own situations, our own realities, introspect about our own realities. So Sumon, as I have already told you, he is the representative of a news and guy. He has everything that a news and guy epitomizes, with certain, of course, differences, because of which he also has to suffer. So what we find at the surface, a fierce conflict between repression of shared desires and urgent need for an immediate outlet, and their culinary satiation in the form of meat delicacy just emerges as both a metaphor and device for consummation. See, at an extreme level, or rather should I say, this is how I would like to interpret it. So what Jumi can do, Nirmali can never do. What's its result? A fierce conflict between repression of shared desires and an urgent need for an immediate outlet. Even though she fails to consummate her feelings, she fails to consummate her desires, and her demeanor somehow prevents Sumon from approaching or making any kind of advancement. You can appreciate that. You have seen it while watching that particular. You must have appreciated that while savoring this particular film. What do? They take to some kind of, should I say, alternatives, or psychologically speaking, some kind of escape mechanism, some kind of stress buster. Their ways. And what is their stress buster? What is their middle path? What is their reconciliation? They take to culinary satiation in the form of meat delicacy. More so with Nirmali. So thus, meat delicacies, or rather meat, emerges both as a metaphor and a device for consummation, figuratively speaking, psychologically speaking. So you must have noticed how Sumon's meticulous preparation of meat dishes for Niri and her willful, contented reciprocation to his offerings make the way. Another thing that we come to understand, come to realize about this particular narrative at this stage is, it is a slow burning, tangibly descent tale of amour foul, and we confront rather a slow burning, tangibly descent tale of amour foul and a formidable challenge in the form of a formidable challenge of the perverse and outrageous repercussions in the teeth of moral predicaments clamp down on its indulgence and consummation. So they have their desires to consummate their feelings, but certain sociocultural repressions, moral obligations prevent them from doing that, especially Nirmali. And what's the result? This is the result. They take to something which is uncanny, which is strange, which is problematic, and which will eventually lead to some horribly tragic consequences. And it all stems from their inability to come to terms with any feasible and viable mechanism of sociocultural adaptability. Thereby, this narrative continues to be a critique on this particular aspect of human society and human nature at an individual level. One more clip.
পিছে বৰ মৰম লগা আকৌ আৰম্ভ হৈ গলি ল'ৰাটো বৰ ভাল কথা ইমানে ভাল ল'ৰা যেতিয়া তোৰ সৈতে প্ৰেমত এনি টাইম যে সি তোকেই চাই থাকে কিন্তু গমেই পায় তই যে কথাটো ধৰিব নোৱাৰিবি দেই
আমাৰ সুমন এবাৰ কাজিৰঙাৰ ওচৰত বানত ডুবা গাঁওখনত মই মেডিচিন সাপ্লাই কৰিছো প্ৰায় কঁকাললৈকে পানীত নামি হাইক কৰিবলগীয়া হৈছিল পানীৰ পৰা পাৰত আহি দেখিলো মোৰ গোটেই পেণ্টটো প্ৰায় 1 ডজন মান এই মস্ত মস্ত জোক ডিসকাস্টিং কিন্তু কি কৰিম জব
ইউৰোপৰ কোনোবা ঠাইত তাৰে ধুনীয়া এসাঁজ হৈ গ'ল
কিয়ক আমি ঠিক সময়ত গৈ পালো বুলিহে 2 দিন দেৰিকৈ গৈ পালে গোটেই গাঁওখনত কলেৰাই হাহাকাৰ কৰিলে আপোনাৰ কথাই বেলেগ
শুনিছা তুমি জুমিৰ লগত আহিছা নহয়
নহয় মই নিৰ্মালী বাইদেউৰ কেছ
নিৰ্মালী আচ্ছা
আৰু সেইকাৰণে সমাজৰ বাবে কৰা তোমাৰ নিস্বাৰ্থ কামবোৰৰ বাবে তুমি পুৰস্কৃত হ'বা অকল পুৰস্কৃত নহয় তুমি ৰাষ্ট্ৰীয় বঁটা পাই আমাৰ বাবে গৌৰৱ কৰি আনিব
সেয়া হ'ব মাত্ৰ আৰম্ভ থেংক ইউ
আৰু ইংৰাজীতে এটা কথা আছে নহয় behind every successful man there is a woman
ঠিকেই কৈছা তাই মৰম আৰু সঁহাৰিৰ অবিহনে একো নহ'ল আৰু এতিয়া ভাত খাবলৈ যাওঁ
চিকেন অলপ লোৱা
আরে সুমন দিয়া
কি কৰি ব্ৰইলাৰ খাব
আৰু আমাৰ প্ৰচেছটোৱে নাখাওঁ আমাৰ মাংসটো কিন্তু বিৰাট টেষ্টি হৈছে
মইতো খাওঁ ভাই আমি কেম্পত দেশী মুৰ্গী খায়ে থাকো
আপুনি খাব মাংস যেনেকুৱাই নহওক ভালকৈ বনালে চব খাব পাৰি
হয় নেকি কাউৰী এটা নিমখ মছলা লগাই ধুনীয়াকৈ যদি ভাজি দিয়া হয়
মই নৰ্মেল মাংসৰ কথা কৈছো নেকি দুটা
আচলতে নৰ্মেল শব্দটো কোনো ইউনিভাৰ্চেল ডেফিনেশ্যন নাই মাংস খোৱাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত আপুনি নৰ্মেল বুলি ভবাটো আন কাৰোবাৰ বাবে নৰ্মেল হ'ব পাৰে
তেওঁচোন একাডেমিকটো বাহিৰ ওলাই আহিল
নাই ঠিক কথা কৈছো মই ফিল্ডত যে কি অদ্ভুত ধৰণৰ মাংস খোৱা দেখা নাই
অদ্ভুত মানে কেনেকুৱা অদ্ভুত আমাৰ ডিপাৰ্টমেণ্টত নৰ্থ ইষ্টতে মানুহে খোৱা বেলেগ বেলেগ মাংসৰ কেটেলগ আছে যেনে পহুৰ মাংস হাতীৰ মাংস বান্দৰৰ মাংস চৰাই চিৰিকটি আদি বনৰীয়া মাংসৰ পৰা আৰম্ভ কৰি নিষিদ্ধ বা অনৈতিক মাংস যেনে কুকুৰৰ মাংস মেকুৰীৰ মাংস আদিলৈকে আৰু বিৰাটে অদ্ভুত মাংস যেনে জেঠী কুকুৰা সাপ জীয়া কিছু মকৰা হৰিণ
So the word normal has no universal definition. What is normal for you may be abnormal for others. It's more so with your food habits. It could be still more relevant when it comes to your desires, especially your individual desires. This is something everyone here seems to understand, but very few can work on that. Zumi can work accordingly, but her bosom friend Nirmali fails to do that. And you know the consequences. And another interesting thing about this clip, about this dinner party, is that you must have noticed that the two women who confront Sumon when he comes out of the toilet was a question to him whether he has come with Zumi. And they get confused when he reveals to them that he is actually Nirmali's guest. Figuratively, it speaks volumes of how certain characters are taken for granted, how the very many cognitive biases, heuristics, and noises come into force when it comes to making judgments. So this is how we make judgments. This is how we judge things. This is how we look at things. Okay. Another thing I would like to tell you about Zumi. See, Zumi is a kind of character who is thought as a particular kind of woman who is wishy-washy, a little bit sexually liberated, euphoric, or whatever. But eventually we discover that she is a very integrated kind of a human being. She is very trustworthy. She is instantly human, affectionate, dutiful, responsible. How? See, Zumi gets pregnant and she rushes to her bosom friend, Dr. Nirmali. Nirmali gets confused because she knows that Zumi has an idiopathic reason never to get pregnant. But she inquires who could be the father, and Zumi categorically says that it's Eddie's, not Rakesh. If she were a woman of which was in nature, if she were a woman of, should I say, whims and fancies, she would not have been so confident about the father of her would-be baby. On another occasion, towards the end of the film, we see that while Nirmali is in utter danger, everything in her life is in jeopardy. She is in jail. She has been humiliated. She has been maligned. It is Zumi who continues to be with Nirmali's son, along with the wife, along with the wait staff. She is not shying away. She is not fleeing away. She is committed to her relationship. She knows how to value friendship. She is a woman of great integrity. We cannot dismiss her merely as a woman of dubious nature, which was a kind of a woman. So Zumi is a very powerful, is an excellent example of how one can come to terms with, one can cope with the regressive social influences, negative social, inhibitions, and make sense of one's life. Zumi has the guts to live up to her expectations. Zumi has the guts and the skills and the management ability to live a life of her choice. And unfortunately, our protagonist Nirmali utterly lacks that. She would become a cannibal. She would descend to that level, but she would never transgress the boundaries imposed on her by the social inhibitions, by the culture, by her cultural conditioning.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. Pranjal. Thank you very much for this really elaborately, laid out theoretical framework for the film and the analysis of the film. Thank you indeed. Shall we have a discussion now? Would anyone like to?
Definitely, I would like to enrich myself with your feedbacks, your comments. Of
Yes.
course, you have your own modes of interpretation. I respect all that. My idea was to drive home to you the importance of the different kinds of, cognitive biases, heuristics, and noises in the domain of interpretation, and how we knowing to stick to them to come to our judgments. This is how I have come to my judgment. This is how I look at this particular film. This is how I interpret this particular film. This is definitely not the only interpretation possible. For example, we can look at this film from another perspective. We may get an impression. We may say that Nirmali is inflicted with or afflicted with what you call borarephilia, a kind of paraphilia. There are many senses to make us understand, to make us feel that even if she is supposed to be afflicted with, supposed to be down with that kind of a syndrome, it's not unnatural. Okay, but more or less, this is the most important aspect of the hermeneutic domain of this particular film, which appeals to me most. It's a very hardcore, insightful, revealing critique on the nature of cultural inhibitions and its impact on individual lives.
Yeah.
And of course, how to deal with that, how to cope with that successfully.
Yeah, thank you. Would anyone like to come in? Nikhila, would you like to come in at this point?
Before, would you mind giving me 2 more minutes? It would be incomplete if I don't say anything on the technical finesse of this particular film. If at all this is an engrossing film, it's because of its technical finesse. Its cinematography, its editing, its background score, its sound design, its script, all are in a great equilibrium. So much so that I don't have an iota of hesitation to declare it as one of the finest of Indian independent movies, almost at par with the best in the international area. So,
Yeah, Nikhila.
Actually, Jyotirmay Pradhan, would you like to stop your screen sharing, Dr. Pranjal?
yes, before that, here is my last clip that will somehow, should I say?
So actually, it's okay because like we have all watched the film.
Okay.
So it doesn't really add to anything.
So I am ready to listen to you. I am ready to, enrich myself with your comments.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
There's an Aamis also.
I repeat, this is one of the possible interpretations. Definitely not the only interpretation.
Yeah.
Nikhila, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say that Jyotirmoy Pradhani has joined us, and so also Pompey. Maybe we can begin by listening to them. I can come in later if they have something to say.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Jyotirmoy, would you like to step in now? No, not ready. Okay, Pompey.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really interesting take on the movie, and I have watched the movie not as a critique as Sir has approached so far, but I would have loved to see Sir analyzing some of the examples of the movie with the theories that he has mentioned. For example, the sensual side and how, although both the characters are platonically pursuing the relationship, but consuming each other's body parts is one way of uniting their love or bringing in a perspective of getting together. So how are they breaking taboos of the society of by pursuing cannibalism to fulfill the inability to consume the relationship physically because of the social taboo of extramarital affair, which Nirmali's character was not willing to involve with. That is one. And also maybe food as a means of deriving pleasure. How can that concept be equated in this movie? If Sir could address that, I would really, be enlightened.
Okay,
Yeah.
in a very
If there are more opinions, comments, maybe we would like to hear them all together. And Pranjal, you could come in with your response to these comments. Yeah, Nikhila.
Just to continue with what Pompey was kind of posing as a question, this idea of love as a certain kind of physicality. I mean, we are conditioned to think about love only as or man-woman relationship only in terms of a sexual relationship. Here, there is, I mean, it is an erotica around food. There is a relationship that is built around a different kind of a physical relationship. At one level, I've read, a few reviews, which, and I think Dr. Pranjal was also hinting at this, that food in some ways forms a substitute for what cannot be, that is the sexual relationship. I was wondering if food here functions as a substitute or as another kind of physical consummation, as you yourself were pointing out. We think about like the framework within which we think of romantic love could be only in a particular kind of a sexual relationship, whereas here it is a very different kind of a hunger, which is, I mean, it is consuming but also fulfilling in some ways. So I think the triumph of this film is it invites us not to be judgmental. It invites us not, I mean, we are repulsed, of course, but also to, at some level, see this, as a different manifestation of the kind of sought after relationship. That's what I was just thinking of. Yeah.
Ma'am, I would like to add what you have mentioned here of trying to consummate the hunger. Hunger is actually the right word in this movie, because when you watch the movie, there's a sequence of a song where we see the protagonist, the male protagonist character, in with a lot of background score with red color, heavy red color, and smoke building up, as if it's the it gives the feel that both the characters are consummating the relationship in the physical form, but it's going on in the mind of the person. A few years back, there was a movie named Odaijo, which was a cinematic adaptation of Indira Goswami's autobiography, kind of a novel called The Moth-Eaten Hound of a Tasker, where as a widow, she's not allowed to eat any meat. That's the normal practice across in the Hindu culture. And she gets very tempted by the aroma that was coming out of a mutton meat. So she stealthily goes to take a bite, and in the middle of all these, elders get to know that a widow is eating meat here. So they come rushing in the scene of the kitchen. Then she is hit with a stick. Now she rebels with that by the one stick, and she will consume another meat. Another hit, she'll eat another meat. So is this hunger of sexuality or the need for physical consummation of one's, need to be in a union or with someone, is it being transferred to food here? Maybe, that could be used as a point of discussion further.
Thank you, Pompey. Anyone else? Any more comments? The phrase "I want to eat you" is it's a common part of the vocabulary of the expression of physical desire, and here it seems to be taken to its literal level. And I thought the framework of the grotesque would also be a useful one to read this film, because the grotesque is also based on distortion, dehumanization, and it's also about the intrusion of the unnatural into a natural world. So in this world, the movie begins with this woman dropping her son off at the bus stop, seeing him off to school, and so there is that whole domesticity that is set up, and then into a world like this, you have this extreme and bizarre kind of a twist in the plot. So there is that element of the uncanny, the bizarre, which kind of reminded me of this framework of the grotesque, and I thought that would also be a useful frame to read this film. And another film that came to mind while watching this, I don't recollect the name, but it was based on that the students from Nagaland who cooked that Akuni.
Akuni.
The film itself was called Akuni, right? Yeah. So that is also that also has a lot to do with food biases, and also like literally what is one man's food is another man's poison kind of a thing that is happening in that movie, where you have the landlady telling these girls not to cook this, awfully smelling food. So, and what I did like about the film, except for that one scene where there is a very close-up shot of, the meat which is getting grilled, except for that, there is, even though it is about cannibalism, even though it is about this inhuman, quote unquote, inhuman practice of consuming human meat, it does not resort to, very vulgar representation, which is far more sophisticated. Unlike movies like Cannibal Holocaust and some others like that, it is made in a very nice manner. So this is what I had to say. Any other? Ruby is also from Assam. So would Ruby like to say something about the film? Samvartha, would you like to come in?
Any more feedbacks?
Tarkeshwar, Sridhar, Sanjay, Professor Langare, okay, Pranjal, would you like to respond to some of the comments that you have
Yes.
just heard?
Thanks a lot for your substantial, observations. Well, see, right at the beginning of my presentation, I made certain point clear. I told you that mine would be just another mode of interpretation. Given the nature of this film being a layered film, it is quite natural that people would look at different things, people would explore different things in this particular film. And it also reveals the rich texture of this particular film. It also reveals the multidimensional nature of this particular film. It also proves what a vibrant, multidimensional, multi-structured, film Ravening is. Now coming back to someone made an observation about how the food metaphor, this ravenous nature, matches cannibalism or tendency to cannibalism. See, this, should I say, greed for meat, or this ravenous, fascination for meat or food, meat delicacies, emerges as sort of a metaphor, also as a stylistic device. Metaphor in what sense? See, some of you have already mentioned, Nirmali cannot consume it. The typical archetypal Indian woman in her doesn't allow her to transgress certain boundaries. Something her bosom friend Zumi can do so easily, so conveniently. Nirmani can even never think about doing that. And they have and it has its own retribution. You can appreciate that. As it is interesting to know, both Zumi and Nirmali have the same predicament. They are trapped in the same predicament, but both of them have different approaches. Both of them have different, methods to handle that. While eventually we come to understand, we come to see that Zumi's method has been more rewarding, more fruitful, and more pragmatic. Or not more, it's been pragmatic, fruitful, and result yielding. While Nirmali's method has been regressive, disastrous, and tragic. I don't know whether Bhaskar Hazarika has taken a particular side. I don't know whether Bhaskar Hazarika has, resorted to his own cognitive biases in driving home to us certain ideas about the denouement of this particular story. But it is a fact that Nirmali is a loser. She makes a mess of everything. She destroys herself. She destroys Sumon, his prospects. She shatters her world, while Zumi retains everything. She continues to go great guns. She enjoys her life. And we can never say that she is inferior to Nirmali on any front. Another thing that I would like to share with you about the mystery, or rather the politics of using food as a metaphor in this film, is that, see, when it comes to Northeast, perhaps the most popular varieties of meat are pork and beef. But nowhere in the film these two varieties of meat are referred to. And it again shows the conscious political nature of Bhaskar's narrative. So whatever he has done deliberately, willfully, and he has done with panache. Again, these are some of the possible interpretations of this particular film. As I've already told you, it is possible to interpret it on a totally different plan. I alluded to one of them. So there are people who would love to spot some tinges of Borahephilia in the character of Nirmali. They would be so instantly reminded of a film like Dr. News Raw, which came in 2016, which took the world by storm by its gory violences and stark visuals of cannibalism. But you see, in Ravening, we don't see anything in an explicit way. Nothing is explicit. It works through suggestion. It works through evocation. Even in some of the explicit scenes, it is the technical team which does the trick. The magic is created by the technical team. It's cinematography, it's soft cinematography, use of color contours, color palettes, a very spiffy, calibrated kind of music design, of course, topmost performances, and a very tight and well-knit script.
Padma Priya has raised her hand. Padma Priya, can you comment?
Yes, thank you. I loved the discussion. I had seen this film again and again, and I find that the Dr. Pranjal's explanation that processing of the information through our brains, the constructed things that we already live with, how many things can we accept? A multidimensional presentation of the film, and the metaphors it has used with the taste, meat, and the food, and forbidden things. So all these things are always existing around us. Only the metaphors that they have used and the way the cinematography was so good, the way it was handled was very delicate. Yes, maybe I will not agree with Dr. Pranjal that we really had lost everything. The very idea of breaking the routine, it was not an agenda. It just happens that she realizes that she has a taste for something. And I also feel that the metaphor of the meat is for the human body in relationships. So whether how so many forbidden things are around us, whether these things are accepted or they are not accepted. There are so many cases which happen where two people are involved, and the ultimate, the ending where they are arrested by the police. So if we take it on a surface level, there are many cases that happens between people who are in relationship, forbidden relationships, through a common point where they become, where they want each other. So the flesh is also, I feel, the food that food or meat becomes a metaphor for a human desire or the human inclination towards certain human beings. And yes, it is a multi-level, multi-dimensional film, which each one of us decipher according to whatever our brain is processed with. So it was an excellent discussion, and I thank Dr. Nikhila to remind me to join in this discussion. And, well, I loved this discussion a lot, and we need to have more discussions.
I think Sridhar also wants to come in. Sridhar, yes, please go ahead.
I enjoyed your presentation, Pranjal, more than movie. I see the platonic I felt it is like a platonic kind of movie. Generally, platonic means we recollect songs like "Aaj jaane ka jid na karo." eh? So, but when you give a visual or when you give flesh to word, then what happens? Is this movie trying to do replace with? But there are many noises like you are building, many noises we can build. But I'm wondering what is the connection between film and theory?
Film and
Theory.
TV.
Theory.
Theory, yeah. So actually,
let me complete. See, we are either sacrificing theory in the name of films, or films we are sacrificing in the name of theory. Evasions we are buying. So in this, I did not find anything exciting, but rather what I felt was the indigestion that comes again and again in three plots. That I felt. So, so I don't know how do you react to it. Thank you.
it's okay. But sir, this is how our cognitive biases operate. This is how our heuristics operate. This is how our noises operate. So, you know, this concept of noise is a pretty significant one. See, I mean, when you watch Ravening for the first time, you interpret in a way, and when you watch it a second time, you interpret in a different way. Some stuffs that you missed during your first, I mean, per sitting, you tend to capture, you tend to appreciate in your second sitting.
Pranjal, sorry, I'm not talking about film. I'm talking about reviewers and commentators like us.
So this is that. I mean, what I'm trying to impress upon you is that this is how our minds operate. So, you know, what you say is definitely pertinent, and I respect that. And of course, don't you think in the last scene, they finally clasped their hands? Don't you realize, or at least I felt, I wish they could have done that a little bit earlier. It could have been a different story. Simply because they did not do that, they could not do that, the tragedy finally precipitated.
There's a comment from Ruby Das. She says there is no doubt about the technical excellence of the film. Bhaskar himself has mentioned in an interview how he was influenced by Hawthorne and Poe. The element of grotesqueness is to be considered here. Yeah, Nikhila?
No, I was just wanting to share my discomfort with one of the dominant modes of interpretation that Dr. Pranjal has been taking. That is placing Jumi vis-a-vis Nirmali. It seems like, he's saying that somehow Jumi is a more I don't know, acceptable or something that she has come to terms with, a love that she has come to terms with vis-a-vis Nirmali, whose actions are seen almost as acts of bad faith. So someone who cannot reflect upon, assimilate what she's going through, and therefore doing something or taking her love in a different direction. I feel that instead of thinking of this as a kind of deformity or something that is not to be done, I think the film is inviting us actually to look at another sign or manifestation of love. However, it may be offensive to our own sense of morality, our own frameworks within which we are taught to look at romantic love. So I think, I mean, for me, this framework is very uncomfortable. This way of Jumi versus Nirmali. I don't think one is kind of privileging one. I mean, except in his reading, I don't think the film is privileging one over the other. I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Yes, Mithila, I do agree with you. As I have already told you, this is one of the interpretations. As the thing is, simply I wanted to trade along that path. I wanted to interpret it from that perspective. I am well aware of the other modes of interpretation, but this is a kind of hermeneutic approach we often miss when we watch this particular film. We tend to ignore the character of Jumi. And why we tend to ignore this character? Because we are bogged by certain cognitive biases. Again, this is exactly what I tried to put into perspective. So this is how I look at things. Why Jumi is not more acceptable? Because our cognitive biases, our society, our culture, teach us that somebody like Nirmali is more respectable, more desirable. But again, there is something that depends on people, that depends on the kind of cognitive biases and heuristics that particular person has. You have your own cognitive biases, your own heuristics, and you are knowingly or unknowingly you are applying them to interpret this particular thing that way. And I used mine. Of course, I am aware of yours also. As I have already told you, being sort of a film academic and a small-time film critic, I am aware of the multi-dimensional aspects of the hermeneutic prospects of this particular film. I tried to put into perspective, I tried to bring into forward one possible form of interpretation. I took to that kind of an interpretative path because I did not find anyone to focus on anything like that. So I looked at the film from sort of an antithetical point of view, so I never claimed that mine is the final analysis. Rather, this is one of the interpretations. In fact, to be very frank, this is definitely not the most desired kind of interpretations that I myself harbor. I have my other modes of interpretations of this particular film. But it's good that somehow I could, catch your attention. I could stare you. That feels good. And that was one of my intentions. I wanted to titillate you. I wanted to provoke you.
Thank you. Yes, Professor Langware, would you like to comment?
No, just not comment. Just I would like to know whether this film, the kind of microcosm that exists in a dining room of the maybe what kind of society, I don't know whether elitist or common run of people, but can this be used as a kind of ubiquitous phenomenon? I mean, whether it exists outside the frame of the elitist, can it be applicable to the common run of experiences? Because the kind of ravening or ravenous attitude, it is not commonly found in the common man's room, or where there is abject poverty, where there is nothing, kind of their gustatory and culinary habits are very, very common. So this is, I don't call it elitist, but the kind of society that is projected in this film and in the dining hall, whether this can be ubiquitously applied to the common run of Indians kitchen. So how it can be taken, because I don't know, I'm not a film studies scholar. I could get something from about the taboos that the film projects, something about the traits that they exhibit through their gustatory habits or culinary habits. But how this can be applied, this microcosm can be applied to the whole, which exists beyond this dining hall that is being projected in this film. I hope that will be.
Right. So another very pertinent question. Actually, here lies the politics of foods. When it comes to Northeast, yes, it presents a very authentic microcosm of the the larger picture that we inhabit. So even though this film seems to deal with something uncanny, something out of the way, it's highly veracious, and in every frame you come across some sort of verisimilitude. This is exactly the life we live here. This is exactly the kind of food habits we harbor here. But the thing is that when you come from a different territory, even from our own country, you have your own take on food habits. You have your own food habits rather. You prioritize certain things over others. So obviously, all sorts of cognitive biases, heuristics, and noises would come into being. This is exactly what I stressed on. So too many.
I'm not making commentary or any allegation on the director's rendition. Okay, he has his motive, that he would like to put.
Yes, very authentic. I mean, at least the atmosphere is very authentic. Of course, the themes and its surrealist, exploration could be a little bit dicey, could be tricky. I mean, it's not really realistic. But overall, the scheme of things adopted in this particular film is very realistic to the core. So I remember Gita ma'am referred to another film, Akuni, from Northeast. It was a film made by one Khasi filmmaker, Nicholas Khongorkar. In that film also, he tries to explore the nitty-gritties of the quintessential racism that the Northeasterners face in certain mainland India. And of course, that film doesn't really take a dig at anyone, or anything. It simply, expresses or gives band to certain realistic paradigms, the quintessential racism, and even in that film also, you come to understand that it is basically a combination of the cognitive biases, heuristics, and noises which do the trick. People as such are not to be blamed. They work or they behave according to their own whims and fancies, shaped by their cognitive biases, heuristics, and noises, or precisely the way their brains function, the way their predictive brain operate.
Thank you.
Okay.
So Tarkeshwar has raised his hand. Tarkeshwar.
Yeah, thank you. There are several issues that we need to discuss. I think one of the issues is about this film is based on a true story. I think that's what the film itself claims. So, is it or that?
No, I don't.
The film
is based on a true incident.
Again, this is a very tricky one. It's very difficult to answer. I think Kaspar has not been the right person to pose this question.
Okay. But because it was based on a true incident.
Maybe that the film was inspired by certain true life events, but film as such, I don't think it's like that. But again, Hazard can be the best person to approach.
The point that I was trying to make was, so there is an interpretation of something that has happened outside of the film. So the film itself is an interpretation of something else. And then within the narrative, you find that there are multiple takes on what they perceive as the crux of the event. So there are reports that come across. Because it has, she has lowered the head of the Assamese culture or something like that in the news reports. So there are multiple interpretations of this event within the narrative too. So it is not that we need to give multiple interpretation. The narrative itself is an interpretation of something that has happened.
Yes.
And there are multiple voices that has moved into what is considered as the main event. That apart, we should not go deep into it. But the point that we were discussing is about whether the consumption of a particular kind of meat is a metaphor or not. So we can take it as a metaphor, or we cannot take it as a metaphor, or we can ignore it as a metaphor and then read it as something else. But even if you read it as a metaphor or not metaphor, as Nicola was trying to say, is it another kind of love? So should we call it as love? Should we call it as another kind of love? Or should we call it as platonic love? That is another thing that we need to focus on. Or we should look at it as a kind of different kinds of relationship that exist.
Yes.
So what is this kind of relationship where one person is ready to sacrifice himself for the other person? So that's what comes across in the beginning. But the tragedy is not of that. So when we are the interpretation that come out was as if it's a tragedy. She has fallen down from her high esteem, and she has also brought down her family, her husband, and everyone along with her act. No, I don't think the eating of human meat is the cause of the downfall. And within downfall again, I need to put it down in inverted commas. In the police station, when they are presented in front of the media, she holds his hand. She tries to assert the relationship in front of the media, in front of everyone. So in that sense, what she couldn't overcome or which she couldn't express, now she is able to do it at the end.
Yes,
So
yes.
I don't want to look at it as a kind of tragedy and downfall.
Yeah.
It is a tragedy for the society, not because of their relationship, not because this fellow is sacrificing himself to please her, but because there is a homicide. Because there is a laborer, a rickshaw puller. So that is the problem for the society. They are arrested for that homicide, for killing the rickshaw puller. So in that sense, we have to be careful about in analyzing the events. The theory apart, our biases apart, but looking at the narrative elements more closely to make our interpretations more nuanced is also important. Why
Yes.
I'm saying is the cannibalism itself is not something new. It all along existed. Even homicide is not something new. Homicide happens. But what is the purpose of homicide here? So that becomes curiosity for the media. That apart, sacrificing human beings in the name of love, in the name of something else, is not uncommon, even in the modern era. And if you go back to the pre-modern era in the Indian context, you get umpteen number of narratives in the period where you kill your own son to offer to your God, kill your own daughter-in-law to classify the gods so that the stands firm or the fort stands firm. So sacrificing human sacrifice or sacrificing oneself, these are not uncommon in the pre-modern world. In the modern world, yes, they are uncommon, but homicide is not uncommon.
Yeah.
So when you're killing yourself to please somebody,
Yeah.
whether you kill the other person who has nothing to do with what you are doing. So these are the issues that I think call for further discussion, and neither the human meat, because we have umpteen number of stories, not only in this context, but also in the literature of modernism, even in the literature of Renaissance, Indian Renaissance, I should put it, or the colonial period, the nationalist period, where they have tried to see if you leave one person without any food, what they will do. So they will actually start eating themselves.
Yeah.
So kind of explorations of human hunger that has happened, and also the question of the love or the bhakti or the devotion to what extent you can go to please another person. There are umpteen number of. I think this narrative has to be placed in that context and discussed. That might also reveal, unravel certain things to us. I will stop here.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir, for enlightening us. In fact, here is truly a very vibrant, rich narrative up for grab. It can readily be subjected to multiple interpretations, and all these interpretations make sense. Yes, and as I have already told you, I approach just one mode of interpretation, just one mode of hermeneutics. You know, so it's good to discover that you people are so well versed, and you people have taken this film so seriously. And here lies the beauty of this film, you know, that this film is a triumphant one, this film is a beautiful one, thought-provoking one, cerebral one, is proved by the way we have interacted with each other. It has led to that kind of an extended and comprehensive discussion. Looking forward to more and more discussions, more and more interpretations of this film. This is what I want to say.
Sanjay, would Sanjay like to say something?
No, I'm just thinking like Tarakeshwar has given a lot of food for thought. So I'm still thinking, as I really like that.
In part of the country, what happens? There are people who are offended with the way certain food habits are depicted. People are grumbling that two of the most staple and most popular food items, meat varieties, are not depicted in the film. So maybe Bhaskar Hazika tried to be politically correct to avoid that. But then again, as Sir has rightly revealed, rightly pointed out, the narrative itself speaks for itself. You know, it reveals so much about the way politics is inherent to Indian life and society, be it food habits, be it love, be it anything that we experience in our life. So kudos to Bhaskar Hazarika for presenting us such a well-made, cerebral, aesthetically successful film.
Paniraj has unmuted.
I want to have a very raw comment, maybe I didn't hear Pranjal for long because I came late. But I accept that raw comment that all over India, I'm not sure of Assam, and of course, if you compare this film with Aksone, I think Pranjal and Geeta was referring to that film, Aksone, and food habits and how mainland India looks at it. While Aksone is accepted where mainland India, how they look at the Northeastern, but in this film, if shown in mainland India, in the very place I live and very geography I live, you see, meat is seen as a tamas. Tamas is which encourages kama, and the very pertinent whenever we argue for beef as a way of life, it's a food for the people and it's a life cycle. The one thing, I'll use the sociological term, Vedic Brahmical argument is that, okay, you can kill your father and mother and be a cannibal, and you start living in a society like that. So this is a very dominant kind of narrative what I have in mainland India where I am living. So the point is Aksone, Aamis, as if it is, the each and every frame and each and every meat they eat, that more and more puts to them to the tamas and leads to the tragedy. The point is what the film is trying to say is trying to wittingly or unwittingly, or consciously or unconsciously, trying to support this politics of tamas. Meat eating is tamas, and hence it should be banned. That argument is very much dominant now in society, and this film, how much ever sophisticated it is, frame by frame, it goes on to prove that as and when she eats that meat, she gets more and more tamas, right? That is the whole point I want to also bring. Maybe raw, maybe not, you are not understanding the film aesthetically. No, the point is how if Aksone is understood in one terms, how Aamis should be understood in mainland India, where the dominant political perspective is developed against meat eaters.
Yes, yes.
I could add to the existing conversation that is going on right now. Akni, I feel, is trying to assert the culinary practices that Northeasterns have in a mainland space like Delhi by not being apologetic about their food habit. However, Aamis is not trying to assert meat eating. It is trying to showcase that we have different food habits here as well. But I would like to stretch it out here that eating the non-stereotypical meat of, say, pork and beef as well in Northeast is not practiced by Assamese. It's only tribals who consume the worm and insects that are being spoken about in this story. In fact, the research scholar as well, he feels very left out in the space of the elite, household of the doctor's family, who are, of course, Assamese again, Assamese and elite as well, because they have, if you go by their surnames as well, I do not remember the surname of the characters, but going by the racial representation, they are not tribals. And Suman stresses again and again about food habits in different Northeastern parts. And pork is consumed commonly in today's time, but it was a taboo at certain age, probably 2-3 decades back, when my father was a young child. I'll just cite a small example. When my father grew up in a part of Assam where Assamese families also, like mostly Brahmins, reside close by. And one day he went along with his childhood friend, school friend, in the 1 to 4th standard stage. Then he was made to eat outside and clean the portion where he was sitting, wipe that ground in the veranda by the mother of his friend. So from this episode, you can understand that consuming meat or being a tribal was looked down upon a certain age. But now in this movie, it's trying to show that now again, coming to beef consumption as well, I hardly come across any Assamese who eat beef. But now that I'm staying outside, I know many who eat buffalo meat as buff, but cow is still not consumed. And beef or cow meat is consumed by only maybe Muslims and tribals or Christians in Assam as well. So it's wrong to, give a pan-Assamese look by, putting Northeast and Assamese as a together identity. I'm really sorry to bring this up, but I always find this representation very problematic. And another concept about putting both the female friends together, I feel that seeing her friend Jumi being very independent and free about her, sexual experiences or adventures as such, I think Nirmala's character finds an acceptance in trying to explore a reality of life that if your own marriage or your partner, if there is no love in it, maybe you can step out and find something where you feel alive again. And also, if you minutely observe the dressing sense of Nirmala, although she is dressed in Western form when she's going to drop her child in the beginning, progressively she becomes more Westernized in her dressing sense as well. Although whenever she goes to the office as a doctor, she's always traditionally dressed, but her friend has always been dressed in a Western form of clothing. That can also somewhere talk about, being freed of one's conservative ideas and norms that you have to follow over the time. And another thing that we can bring up here is I had talked to Bhaskar after I had watched Aamis. And in the first movie of Katha Nadi, he tried to bring in a perspective on the folk tales, which is not highlighted much in the narrative of the folk tales that was used in Katha Nadi, whose clipping Pranjal sir had also showed a couple of times. In Aamis, he told me that he wanted to shock the psyche of how people perceive about love and meat and food habits. Now, I do not have my chat with him anymore because he discontinued using Facebook long back. Yeah, these are certain points which I felt I should, speak out here. Thank you.
Thank you, Pompey.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Pompey, I just wanted to know if there is any folktale, something which is similar to the film story about cannibalism or giving their body.
There's one from the same collection from where Katha Nadi was made. It's called Tula and Taza, where, however, the meat of the daughter was made to be consumed by the parents without their knowledge that is the meat of their daughter. And it was sent off as a punishment for cheating the king with the, with their sending their own daughter for marriage rather than the stepdaughter whom he was enamored towards. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, ravening has nothing to do with meats. If at all it has something to do with meat, then it must be with some urban meats. Yeah.
Dr. Pranjal, I was also thinking we do have stories all the time that sacrificing your body parts or writing letters with blood, which is a very popular form. You write love letters with your own blood to show that you love somebody. And also in Bengal, you have this Ram Katha of giving his eye to get the Kali's blessings to go and fight with Ravana to get back Sita instead of the lotus flower. So offering your body parts as to show your love towards some love, I wouldn't say love, maybe you want somebody you want to show that you are so dedicated, or your love is very sacrificing. You sacrifice your own body parts for that. People say that I'll give my life for you. I thought that is also part of the thing that okay, now he is giving a part of his thigh, or she's giving a part of her calf to show that they are connected to each other in such a way, which is very prominent at the end, very delicately shown that they touch each other, and it's seen. So all these things were going on in my mind. So I thought, okay.
Right, but what we witness in ravening is something totally different. It's tantamount to obsession, or rather sort of paranoia,
But writing letters with blood is also an obsession, isn't it?
Right.
Saying that I'll kill myself for you is also an obsession. Throwing acid is also an obsession. So maybe different ways of showing. Here we have.
Believe is simply replete with such stories, but there are many such examples. But when it comes to an example like the one that we see in ravening, it's rare.
Yeah, I know, fine. It's also associated with the food habits, and the way the story was built up was different take with so many things. The way you said multi-dimensional, but maybe if you see it very broadly, very at outset, okay, a love story made in a very subtle and delicate.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing that we should not miss out on this particular film is the way the story unfolds itself. The cinematography captures everything in a soft way. The tone and the pace of the narrative. I mean, whatever violence or possibility of violence may loom large in the narrative, there can be no denying the fact that it more or less it runs as a very soft, gentle descent.
Basically, whoever is not used to seeing it like that will be very broadly, they'll say, okay, it's perverted.
Yeah.
Perverted way of seeing, forbidden love, perversion.
The way we perceive of some sort of perversions, again, these are cognitive biases that come into play.
Exactly.
This is exactly what I tried to put into perspective.
Yeah.
There is nothing good or bad. It's rather complex gray that dominates the entire film,
Right. We cannot be judgmental about anything. Yeah, right.
Well, every judgment is just an outcome of our cognitive biases, heuristics, and noises, or an mixture of all these three elements. Right. Unknowingly, of course, here the subliminal, aspect is very important. Here is a film which appeals to us subliminally. Here is a film which works through the narrative in a subliminal way, and we live in a world of the subliminal these days. When we talk about the digital culture, it is dominated by subtle balances of the sub. And when we take into account, factors like that, the yardsticks like that, ravening becomes still more tempting to explore.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If there are no more comments, questions, maybe we could conclude this session. Shall we, or any more comments? Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Dr. Pranjal Borah, for for introducing this film and making suggestions to film. And thank you all the participants for being a part of this and for taking this your time. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you, Dr. Pranjal Borah. Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving me input here. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Geeta, next week? What is next week? You remember?
Yes, next week we are watching the making of the Mahatma.
Okay, yeah, Dr. Langa.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just announce so that people can join next week.
Yeah, sure. Next week we'll be discussing Shyam Benizal's The Making of the Mahatma and Professor Chandrakant Langare, who has just released 2 edited books on Gandhi. And he has an article on Making of the Mahatma in one of the 2 books. I will be leading the discussion.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So all are welcome. Do join the discussion next week. The film will also be is going to be circulated, or it's available somewhere, Geeta?
No, I think Professor
It's available on torrent or something. It's not on YouTube. Earlier it was on YouTube, but
it's
okay,
available. It's available on Cinema India by NFDC. They have a Cinema India. I think I can
okay.
circulate that to Nikila because they have offered it free. Gandhi, attendance for Gandhi and Making of Mahatma free.
I see.
I will send that link to Nikila and let's see whether that works still or not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Good night. Yeah. Bye.